Blessings, YouTube. Today I want us to consider the Psalm 4 nugget about right sacrifices.
God of peace, Lord of all, great I am, thy spotless Lamb.
Welcome to A King Serving the King. My name is John King, and I serve the King of Kings. Psalm 4:5 says, offer right sacrifices and put your trust in the Lord. So the question is, what are right sacrifices? Under the Mosaic law, there were many types of sacrifices. Just to name a few, we have sin offerings, burnt offerings, peace offerings, fellowship offerings, guilt offerings, daily offerings, monthly offerings, festival offerings. So those were just some of the types of sacrifices and offerings that were required under the Mosaic law. But I don't believe those are the types of sacrifices that are being referred to here when it says offer right sacrifices. We should remember that where someone's heart was, where their trust was with God is what really mattered when someone offered a sacrifice. And we can see this in Proverbs 15:8, where it says, the sacrifice of the wicked is an abomination to the Lord, but the prayer of the upright is acceptable to him. And so here we have a wicked person who offers sacrifices. This is like an abomination to the Lord. And even here it says the prayer of the upright is acceptable to him. So the prayer of an upright person is better than the sacrifice of the wicked. If we look at Psalm 4:5 again, which is the verse we're kind of looking at where it says right sacrifices, the second part of this verse actually kind of alludes to what I'm talking about with where someone's heart is when they offer a sacrifice. It says offer right sacrifices and put your trust in the Lord. And so talking about trusting in the Lord and really how the sacrifices and the trust in the Lord, it has to go together. Now let's look at some other verses here about perhaps what is being talked about when it says right sacrifices. Psalm 51:16 and 17 says, for you will not delight in sacrifice, or I would give it. You will not be pleased with a burnt offering. The sacrifices of God are a broken spirit, a broken and contrite heart. O God, you will not despise. And so here it tells us the sacrifices of God are a broken spirit and a contrite heart. We also see in Mark 12:33, it says, and to love him with all the heart and with all the understanding and with all the strength, and to love one's neighbor as oneself is much more than all whole burnt offerings and sacrifices. So here it's telling us that more than the sacrifices under the Mosaic law, more than that is to love God and to love neighbor as yourself. Also, if we look at Romans 12:1, it says, I appeal to you, therefore, brothers, by the mercies of God, to present your bodies as a living sacrifice, holy and acceptable to God, which is your spiritual worship. So here it talks about it being a living sacrifice. This is kind of a paradox because a sacrifice is dead, typically killed. And so here we are called to be a living sacrifice, to take up our cross and follow him, to die to self, and to live for him as a living sacrifice. All right, that was today's nugget from Psalm 4 about right sacrifices. Feel free to give any more insights or wisdom on this subject in the comments below. Thanks, y'all. Have a blessed day.